Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about two books: The Murders of Molly Southbourne and The Survival of Molly Southbourne, both by Tade Thompson. They're both very small books. They are published by Tor, and there's a little logo there on the side. They're tiny little novellas, so I thought I'd talk about them both at the same time. Um, so let's start with the first one, The Murders of Molly Southbourne. Born, born, I think. Um, so Molly Southbourne is a young lady, and when she bleeds, her blood creates a copy of her that wants to kill her. Um, so her entire life, her parents have been training her. When she was really young, she didn't know why. There were these rules that she had to follow. Don't bleed. If you bleed, do this, do that. These different rules. And they've been training her in combat. They've been training her for different things. She doesn't know why until one day she is attacked by a copy of herself. And so she wants to find out what's going on. It's a mystery for her to solve, as well as a survival novel, because as hard as she tries, she bleeds. You know, it happens. Sometimes you bleed, and so just continually throughout her life, these homicidal copies of herself are coming after her. So that's the setup. That's in the for the first book, The Murders of Molly Southbourne, and it's fantastic. I read this one a while ago. I assume I gave it 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. It's a very fast story. It's well written. I haven't read Tade Thompson before, but I like his writing style. The pace, the pacing is really good. I may have read this in one sitting. As I said, it's pretty short. Let's see, it's 117 pages, and it's. I mean, you've got to be hooked right from the beginning. Just the idea of it um, has to hook you, I think. And we meet Molly when she's not a child. I don't think she's a child when we first meet her. So we're getting actually she's telling her story to somebody, so she's the one filling us in on how she grew up. So it's kind of an autobiography with Molly telling us the story, and it is a fascinating story. And we obviously Molly's the main character, but we get to know her parents a little bit. We get to know the people that she meets and the odd life that she has because of this don't bleed rule. Um, and it's interesting as she's young, before she knows why these rules and why these things that she's being taught as she's growing up. It's interesting to see. In her mind, she doesn't know what's going on. It's a strange childhood, and then of course once it all becomes obvious, she really kind of kicks into gear, and it's yeah, I can't say too much. Don't want to spoil anything. It is short, so there's not too much more I can talk about. But fantastic, highly recommended. The Murders of Molly Southbourne. Excuse me. My voice, my throat. Yesterday at work, I was breathing in varnish fumes all day, and I think that it's starting to get to me. I apologize for the coughing and throat clearing. It's actually bothering me quite a bit. But anyway, we have the sequel, The Survival of Molly Southbourne. Um, Goodreads, I don't recall if I gave it a 4 or a 5. It's just as interesting as the first book. We've got Molly now after the events, of the first book. It actually starts, it's one of those where kind of the first page of this one is the last page of the preceding book, and then we move on from there. And I really can't say too much without giving away what happens in the first book. Uh, there are just certain aspects, things that happen, things that are very important to this book, that just to say it would give away things from the first book. So it's a continuation of the story. It adds new levels to the mystery, and the only reason I wouldn't necessarily rate it as high as the first one is because the first one answers a lot of, if not all of, the questions that it raises. The second book raises more questions, and I'm not sure that it answers all of them. It introduces a lot of new factors. It introduces new characters. It reintroduces old characters. But I'm not sure that this one answers questions the way that the first one does. And I don't know if there's going to be another book. So it kind of feels like the reader is left hanging, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I don't always need everything explained to me in a book. And the writing, the characters, the story itself are all good enough that, again, I probably gave it 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, which is a pretty good rating. But I do recommend that you read it. Maybe even, if you can get your hands on both, read them back to back. Or, read something in between and then jump on this. Don't wait as long as I did between books. So definitely recommended. Just not quite as good. And I know I'm really not telling you anything about it, but again, I can't without spoiling the first one, and I don't want to do that. Absolutely don't want to spoil the first one. So there you have it. Which direction should I hold them? Like this? Like this? I don't know. The Murders of Molly Southbourne, The Survival of Molly Southbourne. Fantastic books. I'm definitely going to look into more of Tade Thompson's work. If it's anything, if the writing level, the level of the writing is as good, I don't expect, if he's doing something completely different, I don't expect the style of the writing to be necessarily the same. Just if the level of the writing matches this, then I'm definitely want to check out what else he's done. So that's really all I have to say about these 2 books. Again, they're small. I can't talk too much about the second one without spoiling the first one. So there you have it. These 2 books, the Molly Southbourne Duology by Tade Thompson, highly recommended. And that's that. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. If you want to get into spoilers, we can do that. Just post a spoiler warning. Please like, share, and subscribe. And this has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. And until next time, read more books.